Why, hello there. This is the Professor D&D here with another video. Today we are going to be going over 10 spells to give to your BBEG and their minions. These spells can be used to spice up your encounters, to make them more fun, more challenging, and be a little bit more than just this person hits, and this person hits. So let's begin. Starting out, we have Spirit Guardians. This spell is a 3rd level spell. Casting time of an action requires a wisdom save. Otherwise, the target is dealt damage and their speed is halved. And on a successful save, they take half damage and their speed remains normal. Now, this spell is often used by clerics, but for a bad guy to use it, basically forces the players to reconsider who they're going to attack. I've ran campaigns before where I've had minions pull out this spell, and it forces the party to decide whether or not they want to try to speedrun the bad guy or the main villain, or whether or not to track down whoever's concentrating on this spell and try to get it to stop. It also affects movement, so it means that if you have your enemies moving around, the players are unable to catch them. Next up, we have Haste. Haste is a very interesting spell, 3rd level action spell that provides an additional action to the target of the spell. They can use either another attack, a dash, a disengage, a hide, or a use an object action. So having, a minion cast it on the main villain or the main villain cast it on a minion means that you can provide a lot more for what they can do than normal. So it basically allows you to perhaps hit them and then disengage and run away, or do some more damage, or if you set up the battle arena to have any sort of interactable objects, they can make an attack and still interact with the objects. Perhaps you have a puzzle where the party has to assemble statues, and you can use the villains and the minions to disassemble the statues as well. There's also the added benefit and payoff of if the players cause a spell to drop, whoever the target is becomes lethargic for a turn. So you can use it as a high risk, high reward, where if they succeed in getting rid of the spell, they get a payoff. Next up is Polymorph, and Polymorph is a 4th level action spell that allows you to change the shape of a creature into another creature of a stat block equal to or less than their level. And so with this one, there's a couple of different options. You can turn a minion into a giant dire wolf, or a giant ape, or even down the line a T-Rex, and cause some variety for who your players are going to fight. You could have the minions be using Polymorph to spy on the party. And as the party fights them and defeats the wolf that's been hounding the party, it turns into a cultist who then runs away, adding to the story. Alternatively, you can use it against your players by turning them into a sheep or a cow or a rat, at which point the players get to play around with the idea of what they want to do, whether they're going to rush headfirst into battle and just try to take as much damage as possible, or maybe they're going to scout around, or they're going to try to set off traps. There's just a lot of different options for which they can do and use these things. And so you can have a lot of fun with this spell. Next up is Counterspell. Classic 3rd level reaction spell that basically says no to any spell that is cast. It's a good option against power gamers, as it basically prevents them from one-shotting your boss, but it also forces them to kind of think about, do I want to use this spell and risk it getting counterspelled, or do I want to try to maybe bait out the counterspell with another spell? So it forces them to think about it and whatnot. Now, following that up, we have my favorite version of a get rid of a spell, and that is Dispel Magic, 3rd level action spell, which gets rid of a magical effect or spell that is happening. Now, the reason why I like it is it allows the players to use whatever spell they cast for some time being. And so they get a little bit of a payoff, and it doesn't quite feel like, oh, I wasted my turn as is done with counter spell. Now, the downside to it is there are certain spells that Dispel Magic just does not work on. So if you've got a spell that maybe like a whole person, this would work, but maybe something like a banishment, well, the target's gone, so it's kind of hard to dispel the banishment when you can't target them. So this gives players a little bit of an option to do something really cool, but also you don't have to worry about that thing ruining the encounter that you built. Next up is Chill Touch. Now this little nasty cantrip, it's an action cantrip, and is one of the more subtle ways to mess with your players, as it does necrotic damage and negates all healing till the start of your next turn. You give this as a cantrip to your target, and suddenly, even though they're not doing a lot of damage, not being able to heal a party member can become very, very frightening. It basically, I've used this before in campaigns and had players suddenly realize that, hey, our barbarian who's down to 30 hit points can't get healed and is going to go down. Oh crud, we need to figure out a new plan. And so it's been really good, as it's forced my players to think outside the box, and they've had a lot of fun doing it. Next up is Bane. 1st level action spell, which lets you target up to 3 creatures of your choice. They make a charisma saving throw. If they fail it, they roll a d4 and subtract that to any attack rolls and saving throws. Throw this on your party and just watch as suddenly those power gamers are not able to hit every single time, or the party is suddenly a bit more susceptible to those saving throws that maybe they had prepared for. It could be a lot of fun, and it's also a lot of fun when a player casts Bless to throw this spell in, as now it feels like you've got contested rolls, a d4 being added and d4 being subtracted. So it's a fun little interaction you can do with your players. Next up is Armor of Agathis. Now, it's a great melee spell, as this one provides temporary hit points, and anytime the target takes damage, they deal damage equal to the amount of temporary hit points the spell does. And so you can throw this on your BBEG, or have his minions throw it on, have them run into the battle, and now it's one of those where every time they get hit from a melee hit, suddenly the attacker is also taking damage. So your players have to decide, do we try to kite and fight from afar, or do we going guns blazing and risk losing our health too? If you want a really, really fun variation of it, you do a variation of the spell. You cast it at like 9th level to increase the hit points by 5, which would make it, let's see, 45 hit points. Give them a bunch of other temporary hit points through some other spell or made up effect that you have, and then just anytime a player hits them, they're taking 45 damage, and just have the BBEG be really weak when it comes to actual hit points, but have a ton and a half of temporary hit points to prolong the fight, and add this in and kind of make your players consider how they want to do this. Next up, we have Vortex Warp. This spell magically twists the space around a creature within range. They make a Constitution saving throw, and if they fail it, they're teleported to an unoccupied space of your choice within range. And so, the reason why this is fun is it can mess with your player's placement. Players can decide to put, the squishies in the back and send in the tanks, and instead you can Vortex Warp one of the spellcasters and move them up next to where all your minions are, or you can Vortex Warp the Barbarian, send them to the other side of the map. Like, there's a lot of fun little things you can do with this spell. And it's got a 90-foot range, so you can send them anywhere within 90 feet. You could put them up on a ledge and require them to spend their turns running down the mountain to get to you. Or you can completely, or have someone who ran away get teleported back to where they were before. So there's a lot of fun little potential options that you can do with it. Now, last but not least, we have Shape Change. Now, Shape Change is a fun one because it allows you to turn into a creature of a challenge rating equal to your level or lower. So you can turn into a beholder, you can turn into a dragon, you can turn into a werewolf, you can turn into all sorts of things. So it allows a lot of variety. But unlike polymorph, it is not required to be a beast. It can be any sort of monster. Now, the reason why this can be great is you can have a BBEG who takes the form at lower levels of a lower level creature for the boss fight, and then when they lose, have them retreat, and then the next time they face, have them change into a different creature and something a little higher in challenge rating, and just that way you're able to have your BBEG be someone who's there for a lot of the time and not really distant, but also it's going to be a unique fight every single time. And then when they get to the final end fight, you can use this to have multiple like waves and phases to the fight. They can start out as a dragon, and then once the dragon form has dropped, then it becomes fighting a spellcaster, and you can do multiple different phases with that. So it allows for quite a few options for what you're wanting to do. And that is 10 spells for you right there that you can use. You have Shape Change, Vortex Warp, Armor of Agathis, Bane, Chill Touch, Dispel Magic, Counterspell, Polymorph, Haste, and Spirit Guardians. All wonderful options for you to add to your combat to make it more fun and exciting. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was helpful. If you have used any of those spells and have any stories, feel free to leave a comment below telling about it. I'd love to hear about your experiences doing it. If you're enjoying the content that I'm making, I'd ask that you take some time to just quickly subscribe and like the video. It helps the channel a lot with growing and helps us to be able to make more videos. If you really enjoy it and you're wanting to help me be able to make more videos, I do have a Patreon. Link is down below. And it's a great way to support me, as it allows me to make these videos, edit them, build them out, and put them out weekly and such. But yeah, as always, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.